Okay, so today's scenario is Duality of Death. So in Duality of Death, there's only a few major changes, right? The deployment zone is a little bit narrower. You can't deploy on these side bits, so that's the first thing. And the way objectives are captured is changed. You can only capture these objectives with heroes and behemoths, and you've got to be within 3 inches, and you've got to stay there to keep controlling the objective. You gain victory points equal to the turn, how many turns you've held it for. So if you hold it for 2 turns, you get 2 points. That's all that's special. All right, so it's heroes and behemoths, 3 inches, and you've got to kill them to get them off there, and that's about it. Okay.
Okay, so I'll just talk through it and go from left to right as we go. So it's a Daughters of Khaine list from the realm of Ulgu. I think it's Shadow Realm. Yeah. Temple Calibron, so -1 for you to shoot me.
Yep.
Take me. So in the list, I've got the Slaughter Troop, and in the Slaughter Troop is these 10 Sisters of Slaughter. Let's move across the battlefield. There's an avatar of Khaine on foot, another avatar of Khaine on foot. There's a Slaughter Queen behind there with the Catechism of Murder and the Iron Circlet. I missed the Hag Queen over here, which is the red one. The red one has the Sacrament of Blood prayer. Behind them over here is a unit of 10 Doomfire Warlocks with the spell Shroud of Despair. Moving across here, you'll see 10 Blood Sisters. In amongst the Blood Sisters here are 2 Medusa. This one's the General. It's a gold one, isn't it? Yep, gold sword. Yeah. General, Mistress of Illusion trait because she's Calibron, and the spell Mind Razor. The other one has the spell Steed of Shadows and the Dimensional Blade, which is -3 to rend. Ooh. There's a Hag Queen over here. She has Crimson Rejuvenation, and over here on this side is 10 more Sisters of Slaughter, who are also part of the battalion, and off the table is 2 units of 5 Heartrenders, if I've got the right ones. Yeah. I can't remember what it is when I'm putting it in the list. Yeah, Heartrenders.
Heartrenders, yeah.
And that's it, 1990 points.
Right.
Going.
Start from the end. Okay, so 1950 points of Bloodlords this time. So start at the end here. I've got an ally. I've got a Razorgore from Beast of Chaos. So a Razorgore there. Supported there, the battle line is 5 Fleshhounds. Just behind them is the Bloodsecrator. Behind him is 5 Wrathmongers, who will be buffing these 2 Skull Cannons. And then move across here. We've got the Skull Altar. And so next to that is a Slaughter Priest with Killing Frenzy. And wholly within it is another Slaughter Priest with Bronze Flesh. And there's a Wrath of Khorne Bloodthirster. He's the General. And so he's got the Halo of Blood. That's his artifact, so he always strikes first in the combat phase. And his command trait is Slaughterer's Thirst, so he's got +4 movement. And then next to that Slaughter Priest that's got Bronze Flesh is another 5 Wrathmongers, which are going to buff these 2 Skull Cannons. And then hiding in the trees there are 10 Blood Reavers, Blood Bags. And then we've got 5 Fleshhounds and another allied Razorgore. And then for our judgments, we have the Wrath Axe and the Hex Gorgeous Skulls. And we are at 1950 points. So we've got 1 command point, but no battalion or anything. That's it. Okay, so Daughters of Khaine, turn 1. Turn 1. Okay, so Daughters of Khaine, turn 1. The Doomfire Warlocks have been teleported right in front of the Khorne lines, where the Khorne army, me, foolishly, left the Slaughter Priest undefended. The avatars have been animated and moved up. The Blood Sisters are moving up in behind the Doomfire Warlocks, and then the other sisters have moved up towards the other objectives. But at the moment, no heroes have run up to stand on the Duality of Death objectives. So Khorne again not going to score any points on turn 1. their main focus is going to be assassinating the slaughter priests in the middle, because they've seen what sort of damage and support the slaughter priests do for the Khorne army. So their main objective is to shoot them, and they get one of their spells. The unit of 10 Doomfire Warlocks gets their spell off and assassinates one of the slaughter priests, doing 6 mortal wounds, and then they get a massive charge off as well.
The combat phase.
Okay, so after a bit more shooting and a few more wounds taken off the other slaughter priest, you can see there's a big charge being made, and the Doomfire Warlocks are going to charge in and try and assassinate the last priest. There they go. So Doomfire Warlocks in there. They pass the deadly terrain test, and so those Doomfire Warlocks are going to sacrifice themselves. They've already killed one slaughter priest, so they've done their job, and now they're going to try and kill the other slaughter priest. So the Wrathmongers, alright, so you can see that slaughter priest is in a bit of trouble, but he ends up taking a few wounds, and he survives the combat with 2 wounds left. So the slaughter priest survives, and then we're going to see a counter punch from the Wrathmongers, and then one of the skull cannons gets in as well. But a tactical advantage there to the Daughters of Khaine army, because they have pinned a few units in place. Those skull cannons are only going to be able to shoot at the Doomfire Warlocks, so they're stuck there. The Doomfire Warlocks pass their battle shock, and so it looks like they've done their job, assassinated a slaughter priest and pinned the other slaughter priests and Wrathmongers in place. Now they're going to cop the wrath of the Wrath of Khorne, Bloodthirster.
The hero phase.
Okay, so the Khorne hero phase, down to only one lone slaughter priest. He manages to summon the Wrathaxe, and so the Wrathaxe goes forward and goes towards the avatars of Khaine and does a few mortal wounds on them, but not many. 1 on one and 2 on the other one, I think. And pretty uneventful hero phase with only 1 slaughter priest.
The movement phase.
Okay, so Khorne movement phase. They're kind of pinned by those Doomfire Warlocks in the middle, and then threatened by the Blood Sisters in the middle of the table there. So the Bloodthirster could have gone forward after an objective, but he has to deal with those Doomfire Warlocks, and we're a bit worried about the Blood Sisters in the middle as well, as we know they can take down the Bloodthirster pretty quickly. So Fleshhounds and Razor Gores have moved up on the flanks, but 1 slaughter priest dead, the other one pinned in combat and no way to get out. It's up to the Bloodsecrator to survive behind the building up the top of the table there, and the Bloodthirster has to finish off the Doomfire Warlocks before he can start thinking about going after an objective. And he has to worry about those blood.
The combat phase.
Okay, so the combat phase, there's a Razor Gore up the top fighting those Sisters of Slaughter, but the Doomfire Warlocks in the middle of the table that have attempted to assassinate the final slaughter priest finally succumb to the combined attacks of the Bloodthirster, the Wrathmongers and the Skull Cannons. But there's still a couple left there remaining, so they're going to pin the Bloodthirster in place. And the little Razor Gore that could, he survives. And so the wash up after battle round 1, turn 1 and 2, the Razor Gore hasn't died. He survives there with 1 wound, and neither side have scored any points in Duality of Death. So we're going into turn 2. And the corner of the red one, and we got a 1.
Got a 3.
Yeah, you win because I was going for the double.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Roll a
Okay.
1.
You roll a 1. Ah, yeah, whatever.
Turn 2. The hero phase.
Okay, so turn 2, Daughters of Khaine hero phase, and the teleporting Medusa is going to sneak into position there, thinks about it again, but then she needs to go forward and try and assassinate the blood secretor. So the hero phase, pretty non-eventful, just a few buffs going on and healing of the avatar. And so the Medusa decided that she would just move up, be able to shoot, and then still be in range to charge. So no teleporting happened. And the Wrathax stayed. So the Wrathax is ready.
The movement phase.
Okay, so the Daughters of Khaine have turned 2, and the Medusa, with Steed of Shadows, has accelerated right up there to get the Blood Secretor, give him a bit of something to think about. They're trying to assassinate all the Khorne characters, with one Slaughter Priest down, the other Slaughter Priest badly wounded, and then the Blood Sisters are coming in for the kill up the centre, and a hag is going to come and sit down on that bottom objective covered by some Sisters of Slaughter. So, and the avatars have moved up, and one of the avatars is dead, I think, by this stage. So one of the avatars goes down, the other avatar is moving up to take on the Wrathmongers, and then the Canary Heartrenders have dropped in to do some shooting and scooting.
The combat phase.
Okay, so Daughters of Khaine do a little bit of shooting from the Medusa, that mortal wound output, which is good versus hordes, but not so great versus Wrathmongers or Fleshhounds in that case. And the Heartrenders pop off a few wounds and kill a Razor Gore, which stops a hag from charging the Razor Gore that's now dead onto the objective. And so the Bloodthirster is going to have to fight the Blood Sisters. So here come the Blood Sisters. They've done quite a long charge, 10-inch charge, and they decide to go for the Bloodthirster. And the Bloodthirster has the halo of blood, so he fights at the start of the combat phase. So at the start of the combat phase, you'll see a few of the Blood Sisters fall over, but they're going to do quite a few wounds to the Bloodthirster. And the Sisters of Slaughter, there's the Medusa fighting the Blood Secretor, and the Blood Secretor survives all that, and eventually the Skull Cannons finish off the Medusa. So one Medusa down and the other Medusa fighting behind there. These Skull Cannons are going to try and finish off the Avatar and fail dismally. The Skull Cannons aren't so great versus Calibron with that -1 to wound from the shooting, so they haven't done too much damage this game. And the Sisters of Slaughter are fighting more of the Fleshhounds, and the Fleshhounds have quite a good damage output versus low armoured targets. So quite a good battle line unit, the Fleshhounds. Impressed with the Fleshhounds, always unimpressed with the Blood Reavers. And so the Blood Sisters have done quite a bit of damage to the Bloodthirster, but he's still standing with about 3 wounds left. And so that concludes the combat phase. And the Daughters of Khaine look like they're going to score 1 point.
The hero phase.
Okay, so Khorne turn 2 hero phase. You can see the Wrathax is still on the table, right in the center of the table there. Which direction do we go? We go towards the Medusa. And then we roll a 1 and we roll another 1. So the Wrathax has a potential of doing D6 plus D3 mortal wounds to the Medusa and rolls 2 1s and does nothing. So epic fail from the Rathax. So moving on, not much else to do in the hero phase. All the slaughter priests are dead.
Ah, the movement phase.
Okay, so the Khorne movement phase, the Blood Reavers are the only ones free to move here, and they're moving up to try and kill that hag which is holding that objective and stop her scoring. Other than that, there's not much else to move. The skull cannons are moving around over there to get a better shot at the avatar of Khaine or the Medusa in the middle, but it's mainly going to be up to those Blood Reavers to try and kill that hag holding the objective. So go Blood Reavers.
Ah, the combat phase.
So after some very ineffectual shooting from the skull cannons, they've left the Medusa alive and the avatar alive, and then it's up to those Blood Reavers to charge the hag holding the objective, and they fail their charge, rolling a 3. So the Blood Reavers have failed the charge, and then the Bloodthirster is going to finish off the rest of the Blood Sisters, but to no avail. One Blood Sister survives, and eventually we'll finish off the Bloodthirster. We'll see that later on, I think. So quite a long combat, lots of things happening here. And the battle in the middle with the Blood Sisters and the Bloodthirster is the main thing that's taking part. Oh, there's a lot of attacks there. That's from the Fleshhounds. The Fleshhounds get quite a lot of attacks if they're buffed by a Bloodsecrator and Wrathmongers. So more respect for the Fleshhounds if you can buff them. And that was it.
Oh, turn 3.
Missed the initiative roll, but Khorne had won a double turn, and the Rathax disappeared. So Khorne going into turn 3 with a bit of an advantage with a double turn, but they still haven't scored a single point.
Ah, the movement phase.
Okay, so Khorne winning the double turn. We'll just go straight into movement because the hero phase is pretty kaput without the slaughter priests. So they're moving up those skull cannons for a better shot, but the -1 to hit from the Calibron ability, the temple ability, is really slowing them down. So the Fleshhounds and Wrathmongers are going to advance up the middle, and at the end of the movement phase, the Bloodthirster is back. Spend Blood Tithe and the Bloodthirster is back.
Ah, the combat phase.
So turn 3 combat for the Khorne boys. A little bit of shooting has removed a Medusa from the middle of the table, and the Blood Reavers are going to charge the hags that are holding that bottom objective. And then the Wrathmongers and the Fleshhounds are going to charge the Sisters of Slaughter up the top of the table there. In the middle, the last Blood Sister is going to finish off the Wrathmongers, and then you can see those Sisters of Slaughter piled into the Fleshhounds. So being able to pile in from 6 inches away, they piled into the Blood Reavers, and all the Blood Reavers died. Poor Blood Reavers, they don't last very long. And up the top end of the table, the Sisters of Slaughter are killed mostly by the Wrathmongers, and then the Fleshhounds will get stuck into them as well, and they're Heartrenders who were screening the other hag. So the Wrathmongers and the Fleshhounds are going to kill off those Heartrenders. So you can see that's the end of them, and there's one hag piling in trying to get onto the objective. Try and steal it away from the Bloodsecrator, but her days are numbered as well. So Khorne are going to take that objective with the Bloodsecrator, who ran up onto it. But the Daughters of Khaine are going to continue to hold the bottom objective with the hag. There's those dogs.
The hero phase.
Okay, so bottom of turn 3, scores are tied. So the Daughters of Khaine are having their hero phase. So a few buffs from the remaining hags and slaughter queens and so on. And they're going to do a bit of a fight back and try and claim the right hand objective, or at least consolidate their position and hang on to the objective that they hold. So turn 3.
The movement phase.
Okay, Daughters of Khaine, bottom of turn 3. The last Blood Sister moves up there hunting the Blood Secretor. And the Sisters of Slaughter can run and charge. So they're moving up there, so they're outside 6, so they can pile into the Skull Cannons. And the Heartrenders are going to come over and give them a hand to finish off the Skull Cannons.
The combat phase.
Okay, so bottom of turn 3, combat for the Daughters of Khaine. The Heartrenders do a few shots into the Skull Cannons and a few wounds. The last surviving Blood Sister of the unit of 10 charges the Blood Secretor. She's got 1 wound left, that Blood Sister, and she puts a wound on the Blood Secretor. Then the Wrathmongers attack that hag, but she survives with 1 wound left. Way to go, Wrathmongers. The Blood Secretor has a go at that Blood Sister, I think, and finishes her off. So the Blood Secretor kills the Blood Sister. So much blood. And then the Sisters of Slaughter pile in from 6 inches away, and they take out one of the Skull Cannons. And in reply, the other Skull Cannon will pile in and do absolutely nothing, probably. And there's that Skull Cannon, piles in and doesn't do anything. And so the bottom of turn 3, the Daughters of Khaine are going to score 2 points because they've held the objective. Okay, so the priority roll will be on the crossroads again. And I get a 6. Oh, you can't beat me.
Can't beat you.
Turn 4.
Okay, so Khorne turn 4, we have used Murderlust to get the Bloodthirster a double move. The Bloodthirster moved 10 in the hero phase, and then he moved 10 in the movement phase, and now he's doing a bit of shooting. And so the Bloodthirster's done a 20-inch move trying to get over to the other objective to threaten that hag holding that objective. So we'll see the Bloodthirster throw his flyer.
The combat phase.
Alright, so charge time. The Bloodthirster gets an 8-inch charge appropriately and edging closer to that objective, trying to get after that hag holding that objective at the bottom. And the Bloodthirster gets stuck into the Sisters of Slaughter, and there's not many of them left, but there are a couple left. The Sisters of Slaughter fight back, try and do some damage to the Skull Cannons with the final of the Skull Cannon, and the Wrathmongers finish off the hag trying to contest the objective with the Blood Secretor up the top. So I think that's pretty much good night for the Sisters of Slaughter, and there's so much blood and so much going on, and we're up to the next turn.
The hero phase.
So the turns are getting shorter and shorter. The hag's going to give herself reroll 1s to save or something like that. Try and survive another turn. And there's no movement. Trying to hold on.
The movement phase.
So no movement at all. All the daughters have is that hag standing on the objective.
The combat phase.
Okay, so the final combat phase for the Sisters of Slaughter in the middle. they're going to try and finish off the last of that skull cannons in the middle. And those Sisters of Slaughter do manage to finish off the skull cannon. So you'll see the skull cannon go. There goes the skull cannon. The Bloodthirster is too far away to pile in to them. And that's the end of the turn, and we're just seeing how far away the Bloodthirster is from taking the objective. Okay, so on the crossroads again. I got a 6.
You go. I'm not even going to worry about the Bloodthirster rolling against that. You'll kill it.
Yeah. I wonder if he would have charged that. What have we got? I would have got 7. I would have had to spend a command point.
Yep.
Nah, you would have won. You would have won if you had won the roll-off. Yeah. Okay, so Khorne win the roll-off for the last turn, and so that Bloodthirster is going to finish off the last hag holding the objective. The Bloodsecrator scoring in the other corner, and so we're going to give the victory to Khorne, but it was very, very close. If the roll-off had gone to the Daughters of Khaine, they would have won on points. So that's it.